Well, good morning. Today is June 21st, 2026, and I am looking at the Dogecoin chart, uh, specifically on the Binance exchange. Before we get started, let me tell you I am an amateur trader and investor. I have a day job that does not involve finance. I am currently not invested in this particular coin, and I don't have any plans in the near future to invest in it. However, Dogecoin is a asset that has gone through two bull cycles. It has been around since probably before even July of 2019. Therefore, it's an interesting chart to kind of look at and see, uh, is it possible it's going to have another bull run soon, or is there a chance that just to look and see what are the possibilities of this particular asset. So that's why I'm looking at it. So because I'm an amateur trader investor, my goal is just strictly to go over and see what I see in the charts, and if this helps you make some decisions, that's great. If it doesn't, there is no pressure to buy into any asset or coin. So with that being said, let's just get started. Dogecoin uh, has Elon Musk associated, so it's had some push or some popularity because of that association. Looking back here in March 20th, sorry, March 1st of 2020, it started its bull run and it took about 420 days and had a 63,340% gain. Somebody became a millionaire on that particular run. That was an amazing run. I was not invested in any cryptocurrency around that time, so I missed it. Uh, it then started to have a bear run, and looking at about here, about October of 2023, it had another 400 and ironically 20 days, and it was a plus 745% gain, which is pretty good gain. And then since then, we have been in a bear market, and because of these last two runs, we've formed a wedge pattern, and so we're almost ready to touch this wedge pattern again. And if you look in the past, the last time it touched, even though it was still a bear market, it actually had what we call a pause, where it had a little bit of gain before it returned to going down to its bear market low at this point. And the last bull market started from this particular wedge and went up all the way to the top here. And like I said, we are close to hitting this again. Now, keep in mind that we are on the 1 month chart. So we're looking at it from a monthly perspective. And so, from a monthly perspective, you could definitely see it touching maybe in July, maybe late June, August for sure. Just depends on certain factors. We don't know exactly when this is going to touch, but it is probably going to touch this particular uh, bottom trend line at some point. Now, I drew another trend line here, and it just depends. It's a little bit higher than this particular low wedge trend line. This could be resistance as well, but both are indicating that they're going to cross pretty soon. If it truly can't get below this particular trend line, this is saying September. I don't think it's going to be that long, but that's just let me move this so it makes more sense here. Yeah. Let's just call September probably the assured cross down. We still have a ways to go on. If you look at it from a yeah, I mean, I think it's probably gonna hit in July, maybe early August. I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong, but it's coming up soon where it's going to touch this trend line. All right. So the question is when it touches this trend line, is it going to? Let me get my drawing tool out here. Is it going to do this and go up? Or is it going to do this and go down? Okay, so that's just the question I'm going to focus on um, on this particular chart here. Is what are the bullish signs and what are the bearish signs? Okay, so let's just start going over the signs. We'll keep on this monthly chart. Let's take a look at our last bear market run. It went from here to about here, and that was about 29 bars. And it was a loss of about, we'll call this 18%. Well, actually, sorry, I'm stupid. No, let's just look at it from. I'm really just looking at it from length of time. I'm not worried about the percentage loss. So the length of time is 29 bars. Ignore that loss there. All right, if we take the same time distance here and go from about right here to here, we are at 18 bars, so a lot shorter. And so that could indicate that bear runs do not have to last the same amount of time as the last bear run. So if we are at, I think I said it was about 29 and we're at 18, uh, there's a big difference between those times. That could be a sign of that we've got more of the bear market. It's not that it's going to match it in a number of months, but you know, a lot on a lot of charts. Usually, the bear markets are fairly similar, give or take a month or two. So we're not even close to the last length of the last bull run. And you could say that so if this bull run ended in November 2024, that means all of 2025 we've been in a bear market, and pretty much up until now in 2026 we've been in a bear market. So we could have several more months of a bear market coming up. So that's bearish sign number one. Another sign that I want to go to is if we go to, I guess we'll go to this chart here. Okay. From a monthly perspective, we're looking at the RSI. I'm sorry, this looks a little weird here. I'm not going to worry about that. It's just it's the same chart, same Binance chart. It's just I've got the relative strength index. I've got the um, stochastic RSI, and we also have the money flow index. And looking at it from a monthly perspective, we are at the last low that we had on the monthly RSI, which is about right here at 42. That doesn't mean that it couldn't go lower. So we've been down here before, and when we were last down here, we went up. So that is a bullish sign that we could be close to the bleeding may be near over. It I do expect it to go lower, but usually you consider oversold to be below 30. However, on the monthly charts, I mean, it depends on the asset and how bad a shape it is, but it's normal for it to not get to 30. I have seen monthly charts range between 30 and 40 very recently. So, very often. So, I'm not surprised to not see it down here. When we look at the stochastic RSI, which measures momentum, uh, it is not crossing above the 20. It looks like the blue is going to cross below the 20 here. So from a monthly perspective, it says we don't have any momentum to the upside yet. And that's all. So when it did start momentum, it started going up, but now we're back to a bearish bar, so it's going back down. It doesn't see any strong momentum going to the upside. The money flow index, interestingly, it went to overbought. So back here, there were a lot of investors that bought, but since then it's gone down, even though it's had a little bit of a rise recently because of this bullish candle, which went pretty large. Uh, we're back to selling, but there are some more people buying there. Now, if we drop down to the weekly chart, and let's go here, and we'll do the same thing. We'll drop down to the weekly. Okay, so I'm going to bring up my 20. and I'm going to bring up 8. So as you can see, uh, price is starting to break, is starting to not respect the moving averages. It's flopping up and down above it. There's no trending. This is a sign of more of raging. And then if you look at the 200, it's there on the weekly, and that means that if I look at the 50, okay, this is a bearish sign. This is another bearish sign. So as you can tell on the weekly chart, the 200 is relatively flat, but the 50 is starting to gradually go down. When this 50 crosses the 200, that is called a death cross. And if the death cross is pretty significant, like it crosses, like makes its way back to about here, essentially what we're looking for is we don't want the death cross, because you can have weak death crosses where it does kind of like this. So if the 200 stays straight and the 50 moving average kind of does this and then goes like that, that death cross is pretty much worthless. So we're looking for a significant cross to the death cross. It doesn't look like it's going to happen in June. Maybe if this death cross, if things keep on going as it is, like if this just keeps ranging, it may happen more in July or August, if it's going to happen at all. So that's something to keep in mind. And when we drop down to the weekly here on this chart, as you can see, we are still above. We're at 35 on the RSI. We had a little bit of a bump here, but from a weekly perspective, it's saying that we haven't reached the bottom of essentially the this particular asset. Look at here, you have lower points 28. Doesn't mean it has to reach the lower points, but it's definitely been lower and it's definitely crossed below the 30. So this means that I don't think we're in oversold territory. There's nothing that says that it can't just go up like this. However, if you're considering from a longer term perspective, it appears we could have more downside to go. And if you look at where the placement of these trend lines and everything, you see, because you got this upblending trending line here, I mean, you're definitely, I mean, I don't know when you get to here how far that's going to be on the RSI, but it definitely is showing that we're definitely having more downside. And if you look at momentum on the weekly, even though it had this cross at around March of 2026, it's now going to, the blue line is almost crossing the 20. And when that red line crosses, that means that momentum to the downside has been confirmed. Uh, you could technically see, there's nothing that says that stochastic RSI couldn't do something like this and never go below the 20. But once both the red line and the blue line are below the 20, that's kind of reset area. But it also means that momentum's in the tubes. And if you look at this particular money flow index here, again, it's sort of showing the same thing. There was a period of buying here. I guess there was some excitement and some thoughts. Plus, there are swing traders that swing trade these type of things, and as you can tell from a weekly perspective, you hit a trend line. So there were some people that took this as a swing trade and went up, but the even though the volume hasn't retraced back down, it's sort of chopping back down. So there's some other investors are buying that probably think that this is a good point to stay into Dogecoin, and they haven't exited the market yet. Now, so from a bear standpoint, like I said, we have this. We definitely there's definitely signs that Dogecoin wants to come down and touch this trend line. We did on the stochastic RSI, we're showing momentum's going down. We see that that on the RSI is going down. The MFI, the money flow index, is going down. It's another way to measure overbought, oversold. I forgot to mention that earlier. So those are all kind of bearish signs that says we have more downside for Dogecoin. Now, if I look at Dogecoin, let me go back to. I'll go back to that chart in a minute. What I meant to do is do this. Okay. Uh, from a daily perspective, even the daily is saying it's been more in the tubes. When I say the tubes, I mean that it's been way more oversold. in the past than when it then in the I have to go back a lot. Okay, but you see, uh, it can get down to here, which is about 19, and we are currently at 33, just above the oversold area of 30. But this is just another sign, even from the daily chart, that it wants more downside. The on the daily, again, on the daily chart, the stochastic RSI goes up and down relatively often. Uh, as you can see, let's see, the last movement that it had started back in March, which we saw on the weekly, and then there was a little bit of a up candle here back in January. So several times a year, the daily chart will the daily stochastic RSI will kind of do this loop where it goes down here, and as you can tell, sometimes it doesn't even go all the way down. You can have this situation where it pops out there. This one actually went down there, but you can also have these situations where you have these. If I spread this out, you can kind of see on the stochastic RSI, it goes down and then it says, "Oh, I'm going to go back up." And then if you look at here, see how these candles are aligning. You come down here and you see there, and then it kind of drags up, and then you go back up. So the stochastic RSI does this all the time from the daily perspective. My point is, with this particular uh, time frame, it's even showing more downside. Okay, so there's a lot more downside. It looks like for Dogecoin. We don't know how long. We know that we haven't been in a bear market as long as we have with the previous time, and uh, so it appears there's definitely more downside. However, how more downside? Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I'm going to go to this chart now. This is another chart, same Binance chart. However, I've got the ADX. I call this the Directional Movement Index. And the reason why I like this particular chart is because it shows this is the selling volume, this red dotted line, and this is the blue line, which is showing buying. And as you can see with Dogecoin right now, there's more selling than there is buying, and the buying is still going down, whereas the selling is obviously a little bit more jagged. Uh, but it's usually bullish when the blue line crosses the jagged line. But as you can see, it had a cross here, but it wasn't very sustained. Back here, this is our last bull run. You'll notice that on the weekly chart that the buying started going up and separating itself from the selling. Hence the reason why it was very bullish. And this is from a weekly perspective. From a If I bring up the ADX, this is a measurement of momentum. And this line, which I haven't brought up yet, it is neutral. And what I mean by neutral is it doesn't care whether you're in a bear run or a bull run. It's just measuring how the price is trending. And right now it's at 29. And that's really that's a I mean, if we were in a bull run, that'd be great, but we're in a bear run. So that means that it is bearish on a pretty significant clip. Now, there's higher trends, like when it was way up here and hit the high of the very first bull run, the trend was 74. Okay. But to be considered in a trending market, you have to be above 20. And right now we're sitting at 30. So, like I said, with this line being at 29, this is more um, signs of selling pressure on Dogecoin. Okay. That's why I'm a little concerned that there's more selling on the downside rather than pushing it up. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of these charts, let's go back to this one. And I'm going to bring it back to the monthly again and kind of give my final thoughts. Uh, okay, let's take off these moving averages here. Okay, now in wedge patterns, there's this, in training classes that I've been in, okay, you can take a line from here to here, Okay. This is where the wedge starts. And you think, okay, if the wedge pattern breaks out here, then price would go to wherever this leads out. If it breaks down around here, let's say around the September, it says, okay, price should drop down here. Now, as you can tell from here to here, there doesn't appear to be any support and resistance zones. If I drop this down to the, sorry, let me do that. If I drop this down to the daily chart, and let's see if I can, okay, you have maybe a little resistance here, maybe here, but it still is kind of showing that definitely going to here is possible. I'm just going to go back to the monthly chart. Okay. So the question is I've always kind of with these lines, I don't think it actually ever really matches up a lot, but uh, we have to take it into consideration. So if the wedge pattern breaks, I would say there's a chance that it could come down to 0.005 cents. It's not a guarantee. I don't really like doing price predictions, uh, but it's definitely something to consider. Um, with wedge patterns, there's this idea of how many times is the asset trying to touch either the bottom side or the top side. As you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3 touches here on the top side. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly a fifth one coming up on the bottom side. So as more touches hit each particular line, the more the chance that it breaks down. So to shorten this and to end here is, in my mind, Dogecoin has a lot more downward pressure. However, I think what's important is we are coming to a very significant point of interest where you have this trend and this trend line intersecting. You may want to see how Dogecoin reacts to this trend line. One possibility is it could make its way all the way up top here, then start another bear run, and then it breaks from here in the future sometime. That's a possibility. You could also, I'm just going to remove this. You could also have a situation where it has a little bit of a spot, we'll call it a pause, like it goes about this high, then comes down and starts to break. That is a possibility as well. I don't know if it's going to get that high. I'm just trying to show you an example. Okay. Because in previous times when it's hit this trend line, it's gone up, but it still has, the trend hasn't lasted. Well, this time it did. I'm sorry, that's the wrong thing to say. Uh, but it could be that you see a spike up and then have a spike down. So there's no guarantee that it's going to go from here to here. And if it doesn't even go from there to there, we can see how much that is a possible gain. Let's say it hits around this extreme point here. That's about a 390% gain. Not bad. That's a pretty good gain. However, if I were a guessing person, because of all these other downward signs, I do think Dogecoin is likely to maybe disrespect this trend line and go down. And how low it goes, I don't know. We'll have to see. But again, I don't know for sure. The market's just going to do what the market's going to do. And we'll just have to see once it gets down to this point how it reacts. If you do want to get into Dogecoin because you've liked this coin in the past, you could definitely use these trend lines as an advantage. You would just simply map it out on your own and put your stop loss below the trend line. And if it goes up and goes here, that's a great trade. However, if it does break down, then you're out here and you would wait until it looks like it appears that it's going to its bottom side. Okay, well, that's all I have today. Thank you for watching. Since it's Sunday, I just want to say, as a Christian, uh, whenever you're thinking about investing anything, I really do think you need to take it to the Lord and and pray about it. And I know that there's some people that say, you shouldn't talk to Jesus about finances. I disagree with that completely. You need to talk to Jesus about all your worries, all your concerns, not just finances. You need to talk to him about your relationships. You need to talk to him about your work. You need to talk to him about everything. So, with that being said, may you have a blessed day, and may your family also be blessed as well.